Yo, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys had a good Sunday and Monday 2 game slate. They got to stop with the 2 game slates on Monday and that like split screen bullshit watching the games. It's malpractice if you ask me. Go back to 1 game on Monday. I believe we have 1 game this upcoming week, but it's just dumb. But if you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA, I make videos for NFL. We got NBA coming up in less than 2 weeks. That is, can't wait for that. But yeah, all these videos they get posted on the subreddit. It's called DF Sports, and my username is Shook. You can find those posts, and I make updates with all the injury news that comes out and what that changes for me. You're definitely gonna want to take a look because we have a lot of injury news to monitor on this showdown slate for Thursday. And then link to the subreddit will be down below in the comments. And then a Discord link with my Discord will be in the Reddit post, where I give you guys cores, player pools, cash stuff, tournament stuff, videos, just a whole bunch of stuff. And then if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, you can do so here on Twitter. Here are my handles. Anything you need, I'll always reply to you guys. Doesn't really matter. Alright, I show you guys my results every single week, so we will go back and look at my results for Sunday and Monday. So Sunday main slate cash games went well. There was a lot of different ways to go this week in cash games. There were 3 builds that I was really considering. This is the build that I ended up going with. It was, so the 2v2s that I was considering, Kirk Cousins was a lock for me. I wasn't fading Kirk. JJ, I probably wasn't fading. I did consider Tyreek Hill over him, and I wasn't going to fade Mike Williams. Was not going to fade Mike Williams. So those 3 were kind of plays that I wasn't going to get off, so it kind of restricted my builds. I wasn't going to fade Kelly either in cash. So the 2v2 that I was considering was Zach Moss, Zach Moss Commanders D, or Jerome Ford and Bills D. The Ford one just absolutely nuked because Bills D had like 40 points and Jerome Ford had, I believe, 2 touchdowns. Ran a little bit hot. He wasn't playing much early in the first half. He had like 8 touches at one point. But yeah, either way, still did well in cash games for the main slate. The core that I had for cash was Cousins, Kelly, Tank Dell, and Mike Williams. They all did well except for Kelly. The Sunday night showdown slate I did not cash, so Sunday was kind of slight profit / break even, and then Monday yesterday went phenomenally. Cashed easily in cash games. The core that I had for Monday was cash games was Jalen Hurts. Oh, I cashed in tournaments on Sunday as well. I forgot to pull that up. So it was a profitable day. My GPP core for Sunday was Mahomes, Kelsey, Mike Williams, and Robert Woods. And then Monday, cash core that I had was Hurts, Kyron Williams, Jamar Chase, Puka Nakua. Then I rounded out my lineup with these guys. And then my GPP core for Monday, the 2 game slate, was Jalen Hurts, one of AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. Who else? Dallas Goddard. And I want to say 2-2. I forget, though. Who did I have as core? Kyron Williams, maybe? Not entirely sure. I forget. One of those 2 was core. So really good week once again. Let's dive right into this Thursday night football slate. So we'll go over Detroit first. The news that we are monitoring here for Detroit is going to be David Montgomery news. So we'll start off with that really quickly. So with Montgomery out last week, we did see Gibbs get a pretty big snap upgrade. He played about 60% of the snaps. Wasn't involved too much in the passing game because they got up to an early lead. So that was definitely a bit of an outlier. He will be involved in the passing game, even if Montgomery comes back, right? Montgomery will be that early down work, and then Gibbs, be more involved in the passing game. So if Montgomery is in, here's the thing. I don't think Gibbs, because in the first 2 weeks he only played like 20% of the snaps, 25, 30% of the snaps. I don't think that will happen again. I think it'll kind of be more like an even split, and if that's the case, it's kind of hard for me to get to either. I think both would just be tournament plays to me. I think I would prefer Gibbs straight up, but I might prefer Montgomery point per dollar, and then we'll have to monitor if they're going to be on any limits and stuff like that. That's why it's important to check out the Reddit. I'll make all the updates with the injury news and stuff like that there, and then what that changes for me about the slate. So Montgomery news is huge. Like I said, if he's in and they're gonna like split the stabs, or like one's gonna get 60, one's gonna get 40, then it's kind of hard for me to justify paying the prices for either. If Gibbs is going to get 60% of the snaps, then which I doubt happens, would have interest in him, but they would both just be tournament plays for me. If Montgomery's going to get 60 at this price point, I think it's a lot easier to pay that price tag for. But he's not going to be too much involved in the passing game. Like I said, he'll kind of be like that early down work. So if they're both in, and what I'm expecting is kind of like a split of snaps or like 60-40 max. Um, they would just be tournament options for me. It wouldn't be too high on either. Now, if we get news that Montgomery is going to be out once again, then I think that's when you can consider Gibbs at 9-6. Like I said, I think the passing game rule is a bit of an outlier because they got up to an early lead last game. He did play, like I said, a ton of snaps last week, about 60%. He played 42 of the possible 70 snaps, and then they like Craig Reynolds as well. So if Montgomery is out, Craig Reynolds would be in play at 2-8. We'll talk about possibly Patrick Taylor on the other side of this game if Jones is out. But Reynolds would be in play at 2-8. So it's really important to monitor this news. Going over the rest, I think Sun God is going to be overall probably your best raw play on the slate. I mean, the expectation of touches and targets for him is just absolutely absurd. Like, he's probably going to get like 10 plus targets a game, 6 to 10 receptions a game, touchdown upside. So the floor plus ceiling with him is just astronomical. I think he looks phenomenal. Personally, for me, hard to get away from. If you're playing cash games, definitely probably hard to get away from as well. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, definitely an optimal play, definitely a great play. And then I think Jared Goff, obviously, if you're playing Amon-Ra St. Brown, the captain, I'm always going to be playing the quarterback with them, because if you're playing Sun God and the captain, you're kind of hoping he breaks the slate. If that's the case, he's going to catch a touchdown or two. That means Jared Goff's probably going to have a pretty good game with him. So I can't stress that enough. Roster correlation is very, very important for showdown slates. So both the quarterbacks, they're going to be safe plays. 10-4, it's reasonable as well. So I do like Goff. Laporta, here's the thing with Laporta. I wished he was cheaper. I really, really wished he was cheaper. He's had 11 targets week 3, 6 targets week 2, 5 targets week 1. Looking at the snap counts for him, he's also playing pretty much the entire game. A super, super safe option. I just wished he was a little bit cheaper, but still fine with him. And then looking at the wide receivers, so Khalif Raymond didn't play as much. We saw Josh Reynolds didn't get a single target or catch, but he did play pretty much most of the game. He played 54 of the 70 snaps. We saw Marvin Jones, the absolute dust of him, play 29 of the 70, and then we saw Khalif Raymond play 25 of the 70. Then we saw Antoine Green play 14 of the 70. So personally for me, if everyone's just going to look at the box score and see that Raymond got 6 targets and Reynolds only got 0, I'm going to prefer Reynolds straight up. I think Reynolds is a better play disregarding ownership straight up anyway. So I think Reynolds is solid. I think he'll go a bit under-owned after last week. There's not too many good mid-range plays in the slate. We do have some value, but not too many good mid-range plays. We'll talk about Jaden Reed on the other side of this game. We'll have to monitor the Watson news there, but I think Reed stands out to me quite a bit. But I think Reynolds is fine. Raymond, I think is a bit pricey for me, but also a fine play. Kickers, they're always fine. Always solid values to me. They always go under-owned, in my opinion. They always, definitely, kickers have had a bit of an outlier of games of late, but they're always super, super safe. Always cash game viable. So I always do like kickers. Lions D, I'm just kind of indifferent there. I think I prefer the Packers at home, but they're playable. And then, like I said, with David Montgomery, if he is out, you could consider Reynolds at 2.8K. They like Reynolds quite a bit. Got 4 attempts, no targets. I think he's a fine value. And then we'll talk about Marvin Jones Jr., who, like I said, played 29 of the 70 snaps. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I think, pending the value with players in and out, he could open up a lot. So I don't hate Marvin Jones Jr. at 2K. I think he's fine for salary relief. Not really going to be considering any of the other punts. I guess Antoine Green at $200 is also playable as like a large field tournament dart. He played 14 of the 70 snaps. I think it's fine. Brock Wright, what's Brock Wright's price? He better be like min price. He's $800, but he's more of a blocking tight end. He's not going to run pretty much any routes, so you're kind of hoping for like a catch, which more often than not, that's not going to happen. But another punt that is playable, but like I said, more of a blocking tight end. So got some news to monitor here. Keep an eye on the news. And then we'll talk about the Packers side in a second, and even more news to monitor here. So, if Aaron Jones is in and he is not on a limit and he is going to get a full complement of snaps, I do like him. He's going to play the majority of the game. He's involved in the passing game. They're at home. Good play. Just got to monitor the news if he is going to play and not on a limit, or if he's going to be limited. If he is on a limit, or if he's not on a limit, and if he's in, I can't play Dillon at 7K. If he is on a limit, then paying 10.8K for Jones and 7K for Dillon is just off the table for me. Would just be tournament plays for me. Be hard for me to get there. Personally, in my one lineup, but if you're playing like 150 or 20 max, you could sprinkle in some, but huge downgrades to both if Jones is going to play and going to be on a limit. So that's something we'll have to monitor. Limited in practice on Tuesday. We'll see. If we get news that he is out, then I think Dillon's a solid play at 7K. I know he's horrible, not really involved in the passing game, but he is going to play a majority of these snaps. He played 41 of the 79 snaps, and he is only 7K, so I would like Dillon. And then we'll talk about a punt that I do like quite a bit in Patrick Taylor at 3K. If Jones is out, he is involved in the passing game as well. He played 31 of the 79 snaps. So I would like Patrick Taylor as a punt play if Jones is in fact out. Obviously, if Jones is in, you can't go to him. Going down further, I think Love is solid. Quarterbacks are always a safe play. Love definitely a bit more mobile than Jared Goff, so provides a little bit of a higher floor. He's been solid as well. Threw the ball 44 times last week. I think he's pretty good. They're always just safe plays to me. And then more if-then statements. We have to monitor the news with Watson. Obviously, he has not played yet. Looking at the Packers depth chart, he is clearly their one. And then you have Doubs and Reed behind him, and then you have Wicks, Torrey, Heath. So, if Watson plays, I think he'll be on a limit. I think he'll definitely be on a limit if he plays. We'll see. If he's not limited, then you can play him. If he is on a limit, then it's just going to hurt everyone else. I think the guys that are mostly going to get impacted by Watson being back are going to be guys like Torrey, Wicks, these two guys. I don't really think it's going to impact Dobbs much. I don't think it's really going to impact Reed much as far as like a snap percentage goes. Usage could. So I think Torrey and I think, where was he? Wicks would be the two guys that get impacted the most. I think Dobbs at 8.8 would be a bit pricey if Watson's back. I think Jaden Reed, would still be a solid play at 5.6 if Watson's back, but like I said, these guys will get a bit of a downgrade. And then Wicks and Torrey would just be darts. I think those two guys would get the biggest hit if Watson's back. If we get the same situation where Watson is out again, then I think Jaden Reed is kind of one of my favorite mid-range plays on the slate. I think he's a bit too cheap. 7 targets week 3, 8 targets week 2, 5 targets week 1, had 2 touchdowns in week 2. Looking at the snap counts for Jaden Reed, he played 52 of the 79 snaps, so I think that's a bit of a misprice for Jaden Reed if Watson's out. One of my more favorite mid-range plays on this slate, assuming Watson is out. If he's on the limit, I still like him quite a bit. That being Watson, if he's on the limit, I still like Reed quite a bit. I think Dubs is solid. Looking at Dubs, he played 68 of the 79 snaps. He's probably your wide receiver with the highest ceiling of the group. Did have 12 targets last week. And then if Watson is out, there are some punts we can consider. I'm not too in love with Wicks, but he's playable. I think Torrey would be a fine punt at $600 looking at his snap counts. He played 33 of the 79 snaps. If you want to take a dart on Heath, I think, in large field tournaments it's viable. I don't love it. Trying to see if I'm missing anyone. Looking at the other wide receivers, I don't think I'm missing anyone. We got Heath. Yeah, don't think I'm missing anyone. So some if-then statements with Watson, definitely a thing we'll have to keep an eye on. Musgrave, I think, is easier to get to at this price point than Laporta on the other side. Looking at his snap counts, he's also playing a ton of snaps, 68 of the 79. I think he's a solid play. I think he's much easier to get to than Laporta. Kickers, they're good plays as always, just super, super safe. Just be careful if there's, if the game for some reason is super, super high scoring and a lot of these skill position players go off, it's definitely less of a chance that the kickers will be optimal. But yeah, I always like kickers. They correlate nicely with their quarterbacks on the same team as well. Packers D, I prefer to the Lions at home. Already went over the if-thens with Taylor. Like I said, I think Torrey is a viable punt if you need it, especially if Watson's out. Not too in love with Heath. And I think that's it, guys. As far as captains go, I guess my favorite captains are going to be, I think the quarterbacks are fine, but if they're not running quarterbacks or like Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, the unicorn type guys, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, definitely harder for them to be optimal. But they're always fine captains. Let me go to flex. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's a phenomenal captain play. Can't really say with the running backs. We'll have to monitor that. I think a really good captain play if Watson's out. I do like Jaden Reed at 5'6" as a captain play. And then who else? Don't really love much else. It's all going to depend on Watson and Jones for me, and Montgomery. So a lot of stuff to keep an eye on. So I think that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you guys had a good week, and I will talk to y'all later.